This is what she wants right here.
What?
Right here.
It just looks. Oh, she wants the pink. Oh no. Where shall I put it?
Well, don't drop it. Just hold it for her for a minute.
Okay. Come on, lovely. Look. Oh, what a lovely girl you are.
I've noted that there are a few who think life like this is like being on permanent vacation, but it's not. There's responsibilities that goes along with it, just not nearly as many. But there's these times when all of a sudden I got a lot of stuff to take care of. And right now we're trying to get ready to go down and cross. I'm just trying to get all this stuff fixed on my bike right here. And I usually come to Brian's here in Texas and work in his big shop. I've made other videos with that. He said he was going to be here, but he's not. He's off. He's not coming home. And that, I mean, that's Brian, you know. And he showed up for 20 minutes, and I've been here a week anyway. So, but I'm just doing a lot of getting stuff ready for this motorcycle. I'm going to be replacing this bike next year with all new parts. So, here's where we've been staying. Okay, we've been getting rain. This is it. I've had the bike parked in here when I'm not doing stuff to it. And we got an extension cord, some electricity and stuff. But let's take a look at the bike. And, you know, it's not just that. I've got videos to make. There's that too. And so there's stuff to be busy with. It's just not nearly as much responsibilities. But let's take a look over here. There's the big old barn. It is now locked up. It's got a machine shop in there and everything. And I managed to finagle this Dunlop American Elite off a shop for $100 off because it is out of date. I think it's a 2017 or 2018 or something, which I could care less about. And so I got to put that on this bike, and I'm going to do it right out here outside in this piece of concrete while the weather's still good here. Anyways, I'm going to pull that wheel off, and I'm going to do it because the bike has this center stand on it that it comes with. These older ones came with this, okay? See it? And so I just rocked it up from side to side and put those two bricks, two pieces of 2x4 will work on it. And that brings the front wheel off the ground. I just stuck this floor jack underneath because that's what we have and lifted the thing until I'll be able to get this out of here now. And see if I can get this wheel out of here. It'd be tricky. Got to play with it to get it out. There it is. See, we ain't got much tread left on there. That ain't going to take us down to where we're going. So I'm going to let the air out of this. Now we're going to take a look at this here pulley. Now these pulleys, they're coated with what looks like chrome. They have a hard casing over them. This one's chipping off. You see it? Okay. It doesn't matter if this stuff's chipping off. That doesn't hurt anything. What happens is once the stuff chips off completely, then the soft metal underneath it, I think it's aluminum, will wear down real fast. And so these will begin to turn square, these little nubs. They'll turn square, and then they'll eventually just wear down to nubs. This one here is fine for a while longer. Next year I have another bike anyway, but this one's fine. So the chipping off doesn't matter. If you buy an aftermarket pulley, one of the fancy ones that costs like $450, you got to look because more often than not, they don't put the hard casing on it. You really always want to go with a stock one because without the hard coating, they're good for 10,000 miles. You guys remember I did tires for all those years at the rallies. Well, I had guys come in with choppers and I'd tell them, I'm like, your pulley's gone. And they'd be like, it's only got 10,000 miles on it. And I'm like, well, look at it. It's shot. So this one's okay. It's going to be fine for the rest of the time. I'm going to grease these bearings, of course, but first I'm going to put another tire on this thing. And I got a couple of tires for this bike. And I put them on with that tire machine right there. I just did it out here on the concrete. Tires for these things are now like 350 bucks, if you can believe that. I mean, just to buy them, they want 250 if I put them on myself. So I managed to get a rear Dunlop American Elite, brand new, that a shop had sitting around for years because it's old. They gave it to me for 150 bucks, like that's a deal, right? And then their mechanic had just taken a front off a bike that had been sitting for a long time. It ain't got 400 on it. He just gave me that. So for 150 bucks, I put tires on it. But when I put the back wheel back on, I found out the brakes came on and wouldn't go off. When they do that, the rear brake on these, the whole thing wears out over time. The bracket that holds the brakes, I won't bother getting into it. So I ended up going and just ordering the whole thing. I found it for 60 bucks, right? And we're waiting on that to be sent here. The starter's dragging. And when starters are going slow, but your battery's good, it's because the brushes are worn out in them. So you can have new brushes put in them, but it's an old starter. And I called up Derek, and for like 20 years, you know, he sells these parts. I call him up and I tell him I'll buy a starter off you, and he just sends me one. And usually I use one that's not bad. That's the one I've been in here for years, come from him. This time, what he did was he sent me 3 return starters that have problems. He said, well, I figure you can take them apart and make one work out of them. Well, guess what? I can't. So I just had to order another one, so we're stuck here until that comes in. I tried. So, what else? Bunch of little stuff I'm doing, so I gotta wait for them parts to get in here and put them in. And that's it. But we still had a nice Christmas here, and up till today I've had it running. It doesn't look like it's going to go back together today, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow. So that's what's going on, and in the meantime I'm making some videos and taking care of some responsibilities. So it ain't all peaches and roses. What I always do is I work fast as I can, take care of responsibilities, so there's these long intervals of times when you don't have much. Doing your laundry kind of thing, you know. So, but we did have a nice Christmas. Vida and I have bought membership at this rec center. It's $25 a month for both of us. It used to be a YMCA. So that's what we're getting cleaned up at. So trying to make road life work like that is kind of tricky because there's a fine line between me and a real hobo, a real bum, right? And I've crossed it before. No money, dirty clothes, worn out clothes, that kind of thing. I don't like to go there. I like to stay on this side of that line. So Vida's in there, in the bathroom. We just got showers. This old bike has had all kind of breakdown problems lately, and I've got all the parts, and we're going over to Greg's house because he's got a nice shop, and I'm going to put them in today. Here we are in Greg's garage, right? And this is what I'm going to do this job. This bike seems to be wanting to self-destruct lately. We'll get into it as I pull the parts apart, but what I have for it is a new clutch. I'll explain a little why the old one came apart. I've never had one come apart like this. And the rear brake, those self-destruct after a couple 100,000 on these bikes. It's just what they do on these old brake system on the rear. This is it. We have our proprietor. Yeah, that's him. He loves us. And I'm going to start pulling this thing apart. I got a clutch, a used clutch that's in good condition here, the whole thing. Make it nice and easy, should make it nice and easy. And new brake. Okay, right now we're going to take a look at what went wrong with my clutch.
Cowboy code.
Thank you. Okay, now, this sprocket here is supposed to be attached solid to the basket. See the way all the rivets have come loose? One of them's broken off. See it? The suckers had it. This new one is riveted solid, obviously. And it has to be. It can't be having this shit. This clutch, I got it while I was putting that motor in Salt Lake City last year, I had a motor go apart and it broke and took out the whole motor. A new part I'd put in that failed. Anyway, while I was there, I put in a new primary chain because I needed one. And, you know, the sprocket was old, had a lot of miles on it, on mine. And the guy at the shop, Rick, he said he had a guy come in and get a Scorpion clutch, some high performance thing, and he left his old clutch there. He said, you can have it if you want it. So I put it in. Well, that guy probably had a big motor with a lot of power, right? Because I've never broken one of these. He was probably doing the wheelie burnout thing and screwed it up some, because I've never had this break, ever. I've heard of it, but I've never actually seen it. So I'm going to assume that was what weakened this clutch hub. So I had to get this one, which is used, but it looks to be in good shape, and we'll see how it works. I'm going to put it in, right? Okay, I'm going to show you guys the common problem that goes with these kind of brakes and high mileage. This is the old single piston caliper job. I just replaced it all, so I didn't film doing that. But here's what happens is, okay, are you getting that? Okay, now these pads are held, here's the other one. They're held on here like this, okay? This is the bracket that holds them. And what happens with them is they get loose. And what they do is ultimately they chew into this front piece here. Can you see it? Can you get it up close so you can see it? Maybe we turn on this. Okay. They chew up right here. This one's pretty chewed. In the old days when these brakes were common, you'd find this piece at the swap meet all the time. The new one that I got is used. The whole new, I got the whole piece out of a 97, I think it said, bagger, which is the same. Okay, you see how loose these are? You know, this one moves all over the place. See that? So with the chatter, it chews the front up more. So I put an extra shim in this side to tighten it up some. You want to, maybe not super tight, but not moving. But that's what happens. So you're looking, I don't even know if you can get this bracket anymore. But when you're looking for another one, you're trying to get one that the front, this is the front where the brakes push for stopping when you stop. And you're trying to get one that is not chewed up here. That one's better than this one, but it's still a little bit worn. Whenever you got your brakes off, your back wheel off on one of these older bikes with the single piston caliper, you want to check, take the pads and wiggle them. If they're wiggling, you want to take them apart. I carry extra of those shims, them little shims we got here. I pick them up wherever I find them. And then you can grind on them or cut on them and try to get them back in there. And the only brake pads that actually will make these bikes stop, because most of them, it's like you don't even have a back brake, is Harley brake pads, but they wear out real fast. The last ones I had did. And those HJC or whatever they are, they're gold colored. They make two, but they're gold colored. You put them in and the bike will actually stop. Works like you got a brake. So on these, it's all about the pads. What else can I tell you about it? That's about it. That's what you want to check. And if you ever have on this back or front where the brake starts sticking on, then what you got to do is put a kit in these, and it comes with a new piston. Because what's happened is there's a grooves worn into the side of the piston. They corrode in and it begins to stick out. So that's a $35 item. They used to be $18. You just push that piston out. There's a couple pieces of rubber. You push it back together, bleed it, and put it on. Ain't really a hard job, really. So, but with this, I got this new piece, and it came with a new caliper, and it came with a new bracket. So I just put all that in. It's in better shape than mine. I didn't bother to rebuild this thing because it's $35 for the kit, but it was $60 to replace the whole thing. So I just got that. So that's what there is to know about back brakes as far as what I know. Turn off. Winter has finally come to Texas, and it's cold, and the weather report just shows it getting colder. Finally hit us on the day we're leaving, right? It's cool because all the stuff I had to do with the days where the weather's been good, really. Junk. I got a pack for 2. It's gonna be a bastard. Let's see what Vida's doing over here. Uh-oh.
Want this?
She won't kiss me because she says that I'm ugly the way I'm all dressed up.
It's very strange.
Huh?
Strange.
I look weird, so you don't want to kiss me?
Yeah, you look
It's
weird.
all about looks with her. That's all she thinks about.
Something else maybe. Okay.
Wonder what that something else is.
Yes.
Now for the beginning of this ride, I was wearing the big heavy gloves and really was unable to operate a camera. I mean, we were dressed in everything we had and it was still cold. I would have been warmer, but I had split a lot of my warmer clothes with Vida, not to mention leaving some of them behind at Brian's place to make room for her stuff. Bottom line is, I have no footage of going down the road until we get into warmer weather, and then them big gloves came off. But by now, we are on the road and moving south.
So you've been riding from where?
All over.
I know, but
The U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I just get bored in one place and go to another.
How long do you stay? Like, will you stay down there for the winter?
We may not stay in that area either. We're getting a really late start this year, though.
Yeah.
Usually I'd like to go sooner. We wouldn't have been caught in this cold weather.
I see that. I'm gonna get a picture of that. Good motto.
Well, I use those rubber bands for different things, and those are the ones I got.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. They're just spare rubber bands is what they are.
Yeah, but it's kind of mono. So do you guys have radio and all that?
Yeah, there's a
Any
radio
helmets?
on there. I've been listening to music. It's not a good one.
Do you wear helmets all the time?
Huh?
Do you wear your helmet all the time?
No. But
I mean, certain states require it, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm going a little bit inside, okay?
Oh, okay. Stop.
She wants to get warm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We probably should get going.
Whoa,
Sooner.
careful.
You'd think that being from Lithuania, she'd be more used to
Yeah,
the cold, but she's
exactly.
not. She likes warm weather. But I mean, Lithuania is on the same latitude as Russia, right? So it's like a cold place. Yeah, she speaks 3 languages.
Wow. How'd you meet her?
Mexico. I met her down there one year, way down at the bottom. We
Oh.
were in Quintana Roo, way at the bottom. She bounces all over the world, and she is only with me for a few months. But she'll call me up
So what's going
more often than not. She'll be in some country I never heard of.
on? Wow.
She sends me pictures from all these different countries, right, that she's
Huh.
in. So she just bounces all over. Last year when we were down in Mexico for I think I was down there 5 months. But in the middle of it, she just took off. Got a plane ticket for Peru. And just went to Peru. And she's gone for a month, sending me pictures of all these different places she was staying and everything. And she flew back. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
All right, you guys. I believe that Harleys do break more often than most of the Japanese bikes. However, under the kind of use that we're using them for out here, I've seen them all broken out here. And Harleys are actually easier to fix. And I like the wild feeling the older Harleys have too. So we have that on top of it. But to give a little, some perspective, these bikes, at least mine, has lived its life outside through a lot of times rough conditions. It's not always getting fixed quite correctly. It's not always getting the greatest maintenance on account I don't have a normal garage to do it in. It's getting its repairs done on the fly. And for a little bit of perspective, some guys tell me, well, Scotty, they're like, get the bike I have. It's never broken down, never breaks down. And I'm like, well, how many miles are on it? And they'll tell me 35,000 or even 60,000. And I'm like, well, This one here has 210 or maybe a little more on it at this time. The one, my bike before it, had 534,000 when I retired it, which it's not a good idea to push them that far. And the one before that had 110,000 on it, and I've had like 14 bikes. So what I'm saying is the use is really different. For a little even more perspective, I myself have broken 9 belts, right? It's kind of unusual for a belt to break. I've been through 9 of them, snapped. And I've worn out more motors than I really remember. So to where they were smoking and using oil and needing a rebuild. That used to be kind of common. A lot of guys had done that. But I've worn them out and rebuilt them and rode them some more. Now I want to give a special thanks to William Meyer. You know who you are. What you did made a big difference for me, and they did not send me or give me access to your email address, so I wasn't able to get a hold of you. But just in case, here's mine if you would like to ever get in touch. As a side note, I want to bring you guys up to date on what I know so far about the Gypsy Jean Cancer Run. This thing is going to be held on June 20th through the 22nd. It looks like a weekend thing in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Now, we're going to have it in a campground, but because it's in Hattiesburg, it shouldn't be any problem to get a room for anybody who wants one. They're talking about trying to keep the cost down because nobody knows how much money it will make. So I don't think there's going to be a band. They were talking that over. And but I'm hoping to have a ride, maybe some bike games. I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know exactly what's happening at this point for sure. These guys, it's a Christian motorcycle club, is doing the majority of the heavy lifting here. They do a lot of charity events, and I'll get into them more in time, I'm sure. Now, I think they've put up a GoFundMe now and are getting the flyers ready, and I'll keep you guys tuned in as I learn more. Now, all the profit, all of it, is going to be going exactly where we say it's going to go. Now, we don't want to give it to cancer research because we know those guys don't want to cure the cash flow. I refuse to do that, and everybody agrees. So we will be giving the money, all the profits, will be going to family or families, depending what we get, of somebody who has long-term cancer to help them augment, for their trouble. And so I will keep you guys updated. I will be there. I'm going to ride Gypsy Jean's bike. That's what we've decided to do with her motorcycle at this point. And I hope to see some of you guys there.